What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Submission Fishing Live podcast. Back again for, well, at least for one show. I figured it's been a little while since I've done one. Well, since I moved out here to Florida, so I figured it'd be a good stay up a little bit and maybe do a show for you guys. What's going on, everybody on Instagram? Hit us up on YouTube if you want to come join us. We're going to do a little live show on the YouTube, just like the olden days. So yeah, hope everybody's doing good out there. Life's good here, can't complain. Just trying to learn a new fishery and figure things out. Trying to meet new people, get a new group. What's going on, Steve Mendoza? Corey King, what's up, man? Aaron Kruger, what's going on? Down in SD, Roy, what's up, man? Sammy, the Slayer, what's going on? Kiwi Reacts, Oos, what's going on, dude? Glad you could join us. You guys on Instagram, you want to join us on Facebook? Why do I keep saying Facebook? Find us on YouTube, Submission Fishing Channel. Just like old times. Come join us. Yeah, so today, I was going through a lot of stuff and a lot of things like what could I do for a show and stuff like that. And really wanted to compare, we'll get into this later, kind of the meat and potatoes of the cast will be, how did like the 2023 numbers stack up to 2022? You know how we always kind of, we assume, we're like, oh, fishing was better this year, fishing was better that year, stuff like that. But I went back and pulled some data, mostly from the fish doc total sites, and I tallied some up. It's not like a super comprehensive thing, but I was writing down numbers like crazy of like all the different fish and stuff like that. So I wanted to kind of see, what the tale of the what really happened and what do the numbers actually say about the fish we caught, within the years, and maybe what we can expect from last year, or not from last year, but going into this year, finishing 2023, what they compare with 2022, and then what we can expect in 2024. I think it'll be good stuff. What's going on, guys, on Instagram? If you want to join us on YouTube, come join us. I'll be hopping over on the YouTube Submission Fishing channel. We're going to be doing a bunch of crunching some numbers and stuff like that. Doing some shout outs. But yeah, it should be good. I guess we'll go kick it off old school. Hopefully everybody's good out there. And hopefully you guys are liking the podcast too that I normally do. But nothing really beats the live, talking to you guys, answering questions. Joey Basson, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. So I thought it's there for the live. Kruger, what's going on, dude? And I was like, you know what? And the live sounded like really good. And then it's like, it gets later and later. It's like 10 o'clock right here. Obviously I'm on East Coast time, so it's like it gets closer. I'm like, damn, I'm getting tired, but I promised I'd do it, so I wanted to get it, make it happen. News wise, what's going on, guys, on Instagram? If you want to come join us, Instagram, guys, find us on YouTube. Kiwi Reacts 2021 was a crazy year for me. Caught a small bluefin from a 10-foot inflatable boat. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Dansky, what's going on, dude? Glad you could join us. Joey Basson, what's going on, man? Man, we got all the Slayers in the house today. Hope you guys are doing good. Good to see you all. Yeah, news-wise, we just have a couple things. Spotty Bowl's going on, or it's about to start. I shouldn't say it's going on. But the pre-orders and pre-sales to get your tickets, you guys check that out. It's probably the biggest, it is the biggest spotty bowl fishing tournament in Southern California. So if you like, fishing spotties and stuff like that, it's definitely the way to go. There's tons of tournaments, but this one's definitely the biggest. It runs, it's like a league. So you can fish every week, or usually it's a couple times a month. But then what happens is how you perform throughout the whole league and tournament is sort of like the NFL, right? You win if you constantly have high numbers, and you get into a playoff, and then in the playoffs it's single elimination, and then ultimately the last two standing go for a belt. And it's really cool. There's different leagues. What's going on, everybody, on Instagram? If you want to come join us on YouTube, we're doing the show on here. I'll probably sign off on this one pretty soon. But yeah, Spotty Bowl's got it's a bunch of tiered days that they have throughout the month, and then once you can win those individual tournaments that they have, and then you get a mulligan so you can skip some too. So that's definitely coming up, and I'm a sponsor for that. I have been since the beginning. I've competed in Spotty Bowl, and it's a super awesome tournament. So I think that's about to start. It's going to kick off in 2024, and yeah, should be awesome. You know, just like it is every year. It's growing every year, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So definitely check that out. Love the submission lures for bass. I've been thinking of throwing them for halibut. Any style you recommend? Yeah, I've caught halibut on them. They definitely work for halibut. For halibut, even I'm trying to think. Probably, I feel like the sumo would be better for halibut. I think halibut like a little faster presentation as opposed to the slow. Yeah, the assassin is a little slow, or it falls a lot slower, which is good for a lot of fish. But I feel like halibut kind of have that. They lay in the stand and they have that really reactionary take. I feel like they hit stuff when it comes by really quick. This is my opinion, but I've caught them on both. I've seen people catch them on both too, so you really can't go wrong. But yeah, they're definitely fun for sure. Oh, Sammy's saying for Hallie, drag the sumo. Oh, interesting. You just bounce it off the bottom, Sammy, or you actually drag it? Corey says, ask Florida State about league season wins. Is that a football? Is that college football? Man, I haven't watched college football forever. Spotty at best. Oos, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. You guys talking about Spotty Bowl. That's the Spotty champion right there. That dude went from the what I think the middle league was at, like the pros. So there's Weekend Warrior, pros, and then Masters League, and he's won them both years. Drag it. Oh, interesting. So drag the sumo. Oscar, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Yeah, so that's the news. Other news, we have, I don't know if you guys caught this, but we've released we got the 200 and 300 gram jigs released. This one is the squishy color, so we got some new colors. Captain Adobo went out. He was slain with this one. I think this is the 300 gram, but I know you guys were asking for these in kind of the smaller sizes. When you don't want to drop a 4, 5, and 600. We got it in the mackerel color. Macaroni, 2 and 300. And then we got like the, it's like the California one. It's got the mint on one side. And then it's got the glow on the other. And then the mint side glows. So it totally glows. And yeah, so those are definitely on the market now. You go get those. They're up on the website. And then we also got, we also brought in the hooks. When we were doing a lot of those rockfish tournaments and smashing, winning those tournaments, one of the tricks we were doing was putting the squid, like the plastic squid on the end of the hooks. And it would kind of slow it down. But like when the bite was finicky, you can just dangle the jig there. And what we were doing was, so we've made these hooks, because what we were doing was buying just the plastic squids and we were putting them over the hooks themselves and kind of making our own thing. So I make these now. Well, we got them for sale. We basically did it all for you. So they come with the squid, the glow in the dark squid on the hook. And we got them in the like a 5/0 and then like a big 10/0. So now you don't have to build them or anything like that. A lot of people were asking for those. So yeah, we got those on. Here's like a javelin rigged up with some of the squid hooks. So yeah, if you guys want to check those out, definitely check it out. Cal's in the house. Where's Cal? All right, guys, on Instagram, if you want to join us, I'm going to be on YouTube, so check us out there. I'm going to sign off, guys, just letting everybody know we were going live. And we'll see you over on YouTube. I can bring up my show notes. Oh yeah, also on the news front, speaking about the jigs, the rock fishing is almost up, guys. So this is really the last month you have in Southern California to do the rock fishing. You know, it's already the 7th of December and the fishery ends at the end of this month. So come January 1st, you won't be able to fish anymore. I think it's December 31st is the last day, and um, really till April. So it used to be March 1st we got to fish the rockfish out there. So it was kind of like a 2-month layoff. You had to go all of January, all of February, and then March 1st they left you fish. But this year, 2023, they changed the regulations. So the slope and shelf rockfish you can still fish up until December 31st like we normally could, except they added another month. So now it's till March 31st that you can fish rockfish again. So now it's 3 months. So this is really the last chance you have to go get them. So if you guys plan on getting any rockfish, or you just want to go out and hit the fishery again, now's the time. It's a pretty good time to do it too. And, a lot of the sport boats aren't running anymore. They've kind of turned down for the season. I was looking at like the sport fishing numbers and reports and stuff like that, and looked like a lot of the boats weren't even running, but some of them were. Like the Dolphin are still doing like half-day trips and stuff like that to get on the rockfish. And it's kind of hard on the kayak because the nearshore rockfish closed, I think, in September. It's kind of a weird thing. So you can still get the deep stuff, but really you got to have a personal boat or kind of a private boat to even get out there and fish those things. But you're running out of time, kind of get your last chance. So get on there, and if you're going to fish rockfish, it's going to be a little while before you can get them again. So definitely check that out. Corey King says, what size matches the Ogre 200 Ogre? On the hooks, really, you could probably go either. I might get I'd probably go with the bigger ones, the 10-aught hooks. I mean, this is for a size. I know this is the 300 gram, but it covers a lot of the jig. You could do the smaller hooks. These are mostly for like the javelin and stuff like that. They're a little bit smaller. They'll still work. I don't see why not, but the bigger ones, I don't know. I tend to like the bigger hooks myself, but I think any will work. But if you ask me, I'd say bigger. Cave Dog, oos. What's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Good to see you, man. Let's see. Yeah, that's all we got news-wise. The only thing I have before we get into the other thing is, just kind of catching up on what everybody's been up to. Just if you guys get any fishing stories, let me know. It should be good. For those of you guys that don't know, I moved out here to Florida a little while ago. I think when was the last show I did? Maybe a month, 2 months ago, something like that. Time flies. But I moved from Southern California to Florida, so I've been really trying to adjust to the scene out here. It's definitely like a different vibe, different fish, different species. So even though I'm out there fishing, it's like it's still having to learn like a whole new fishery. And one of the mistakes I make is I'm out there, like I'll go out fishing docks, and I'm fishing. I'm like kind of fishing for spotties. You know what I mean? I'm like so attuned to fishing like the California fish, even though you could pretty much fish the same style. It's the conditions are completely different. Like the docks out here, it's extremely shallow. Out on the Pacific, even the docks are, usually 20 feet. Some areas are like 30, 40 feet, depending where you're at. But docks out here, even when you're going inland, kind of on the St. Johns River in Jacksonville, I mean, these things are like 5 feet or less of water sometimes. It's extremely shallow. And even when you go offshore, it's like 100 feet is like deep. It's like you go a mile out and you're still in like 50, 60 feet of water, or you go a mile out in California and there's like 3,000 feet of water already. So definitely a different change, but it's been super good. Meeting people, meeting groups. Met Battlefish. We did the podcast with him last week, and he's just kind of an old timer. He's retired. He's fished the St. Johns River forever. I went out with him. He took me on his boat. I think it was this week. Yeah, we went out Monday, and went fishing for reds and speckled trout and stuff like that. Super fun, and it was really cool. We were fishing, and it was like a tough bite, and we're only fishing about probably 2 feet of water or something like that. We were on his little boat back there in fish in the grass and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a pretty tough bite. And I swear the only thing that was working for a long time was the submission jigs, man. That assassin was just like, we're throwing in 2 feet of water, a little 10 gram, just jerking it on like a fast crank and jerk. And we were speckled trout like crazy. And Jeff was, he was watching me catch. He's never used them before, you know, and we were catching fish. And finally, you know, he tied one on, and then boom, he started catching trout. He was like, oh man, these things work. It was pretty funny, you know, just that foreign concept in different lures. And he ended up crushing a fat ass redfish on the, like a segmented bait, like the crazy croaker or something like that. So he did get a big red at the end, but you know, it's pretty tough fishing because the water's cold too. It's like turned over here. It's like 60 something degrees, but man, it's been still good. Climate change on Zillow telling me something about fish recently. What is it telling you? To fish or not to fish? Let's see. But yeah, other than that, you know, it's been good meeting different people. I got in contact with the guys from Fish Bites. I don't know if you've seen those. They're like the little fish strips and stuff like that. I met them at PCS last year, and because they're from St. Augustine, which is just south of Jacksonville, and they were in. They had a booth over at the PCS. I talked to them, and then I went into their factory and talked to Brett, and yeah, it was a pretty cool dude. So I hit him up, just text him, and told him I was in town to see if he wants to be on the podcast, you know, and he was open to it, so it should be cool. I have to ask him if he goes to PCS, though. I'll be there in March, guys. That's coming up. I'll definitely be at the show. We're going to have a booth there just like we did last year. So if you guys want to come by, say what's up. Should be super cool. Should be a good time. Water's cold and clear. The winter bite's been a grind in Newport. Yeah, dude. That's what's interesting, too, is like some of the differences is like Florida, like where I'm at in the St. Johns River, it's a river that runs south to north, but the water is like, it starts freshwater and then it turns into the Atlantic and then turns into saltwater. So where I'm at, it's actually like, it's pretty salty. So like at the beginning of the river where it starts south, it's like freshwater bass and like all these freshwater fish, which is crazy. And now where I'm at, it's like, it's all saltwater fish, redfish, black drum and stuff like that. So even though the water's cold, it's still dirty. It's like the water's like chocolate milk. It definitely does not get clear like it does in the California. I know in the bays it was like, I've been to some days where you can see like 20, 30 feet and almost see the bottom, which is crazy. And that makes for tough fishing. You guys don't know, but it's like the clearer days and the clearer water really makes fishing hard. Me and Jeff for Battlefish, we're talking about that, how, you know, this is a whole other topic, but fish use their lateral lines. You know, it's like their sixth sense that they use to eat. And murky water, I think, actually helps. When they feel the vibration and they just feel the disturbance coming down the water, like all the ripples, they feel it in the sides and those lateral lines, all the pressure changes, all the vibrations in the water. And really they use that to react and then get on the bite when the water's, you know, dirty. When it's clear, it's a little harder because they feel it and they get the same sensation with the lateral line coming down, but then they have a lot more time to see the lure and see what's going on, and it just gives them more time to decide if they're going to eat it or not. And it makes the bite tougher because chances are it's going to slow down a lot once they get all their senses going. It's tough, man. It truly is. And then you get the cold water on top of that. So, you know, fish are cold-blooded. They already get lethargic. So now they've got the cold blood, the cold water's making them lethargic, and now they can see the lures coming down or right in front of them for a long time. It's tough. At least up here, we got the dirty water, which I actually believe helps a lot. Definitely to the advantage. We've been getting 10 to 15 foot clarity. Yeah, man, that's rough. That's really rough. What do you do with the when it gets super clear like that? Do you like really downsize your line, like super small, or do you just stick with what you do and see if you get bit? Or do you just not get bit? Blame it on the water clarity. That happens sometimes too. It's always an interesting take, you know. That's what a lot of people talk about, like freshwater fishing. Um, you know, like that finesse fishing is like really slow, and it's like I always wonder if that works. Like, is it better than power fishing? You know, when the water's clear. Who knows? Guess it's all in the style. Yeah, so you drop down to 8 pound and hide under a dock. You hide under the dock? Yeah, it's pretty good. That's brave though. 8 pound is brave fish. 8 pound is brave fishing the docks for sure. Oh yeah, using shade to your advantage. Yeah, that's smart, man. You got to pull out all the tricks, dude. But that's good stuff. Definitely, definitely. Cool. All right, guys. So let's get into it. So one of the things that I talked about earlier is really wanted to see the numbers, and I've got some data here. What I did was I pulled numbers from basically like that site that I used to always bring up, the Sport Fishing Reports. If you actually look at the report where you can go to the landings and stuff like that, you can see the dock totals down at the bottom, actually the yearly totals for all the species that are caught and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty easy to compare the species. Now, what I did was I took the numbers from, I didn't do all the landings. I just took basically 2 landings, H&M landing and then Seaforth landing. And then I looked at some up in LA and Orange County too, like Davies Locker and 22nd Street landing. And basically I just compiled all the numbers from what they were in 2022 as opposed to 2023, just to see kind of the differences. It was 2023 a better year than 2022 or vice versa. You know, we always have kind of our opinions on what is a better fishery, but until we actually look at it, we don't know. Now, there was some things that were super surprising to me too. Leonard Oos, what's going on, man? Spotty Bessos, Finesse, light line, I'm sold. Yeah, man. I mean, it works. I mean, you definitely got to downsize for sure. It just, I'm like a Neanderthal. I don't like to do it. I like to fish into the thick brush and just pull them up and get them out. But I got to work on my finesse game. Yeah, but I'm curious what you guys think too. When we go over the numbers and see some of the trends, and you can even type in the chat what you think the difference was. So in 2022, we had the barred sand bass. What do you guys think was? What do you think we caught more? So this one is already has an outlier to it, and I'll explain that to you. So barred sand bass, do you guys think we caught more in 2022 or 2023? And again, this is sport boats. Aaron Kruger says hard baits with 20 pound. Now you're talking, dude. Now you're talking my style. So barred sand bass in 2022, there was 4,537 caught. Real time says 2022. Sammy says 2023. And so 4,537. Now in 2023, there was 12,128. So almost 3 times as much caught in 2023 as there was in 2022. Now, what's interesting about this is that in San Diego, the fish counts for sand bass were lower than 2022. But I don't know if you guys were paying attention or knew what happened, but in Orange County, towards like later in the summer, there was like this, I don't know what it was, but the sand bass, it was like some of the best barred sand bass fishing like there ever was. Parts of LA too, but it was mostly like that Orange County before you went out to the island. And I was interesting. I remember seeing that Davies Locker was posting stuff, but they were posting like record size fish numbers like crazy. So I don't know why they came in or what happened, but yeah, the barred sand bass just blew up. But it was really focused to that area. In San Diego, it was actually down. there was more in 2022 and 2023, but almost 3 times as many caught, mostly because of that caveat of whatever was happening in Orange County this year was crazy. Yeah, they were huge, 5 to 6 pounds. Newport and LA went off late summer. Yeah. I don't know why. No, they didn't know why either. It was like, I think it's happened before, but it was kind of like just this kind of shocking thing that happened. So that really skewed the numbers. And that's what's interesting is looking at the different zones. Like, even though California is one state, like just from Southern California, we're talking San Diego, and you just went north a little bit into Orange County, and it completely changed the demographic of the fish that were caught. Barracuda. What do you guys think? 2022. TV Metal Art Top. What's going on, Oos? Or 2023? So we had 2022. Barracuda was 2,879. 2023, 2,251. So 2022 had a better year. And this was another one with the caveat that in Los Angeles, again, there was the run on Barracuda. So if you actually looked at the LA numbers for Barracuda, they would have been a lot higher, but that was kind of the outlier. Overall, the Barracuda were down a little bit. But yeah, that was crazy. The same thing almost with the sand bass. It was this huge run of Barracuda up in, I know, like 22nd Street Landing. I went up there and fished the wall, and then we went out like Barracuda fishing too, kind of earlier in the year. That was interesting. Yeah, Sammy, 2022. Sculpin, 2022 or 2023? Which one had more fish? In 2022, it was 4,084 sculpin, 4,267 sculpin. So 2023 wins the sculpin count. Not by much, but just by a little bit. And then we got sheephead, 2022 or 2023. 2022 sheephead was 1,445, and in 2023, 1,269. So again, 2022 was definitely up on the sheephead, not by much, just by a little bit. And then here's where it starts to get a little different. So, and this is where we start to see some of the numbers where if I asked you 2022 or 2023, which had more mahi-mahi or dorado, you guys know 2022 was like one of the best years I've ever seen with dorado fishing. It was absolutely crazy. And this year, it wasn't really that good. And the numbers definitely reflect that. In 2022, and keep in mind, this is just 2 landings, there was 55,774 dorado caught. 55,774 dorado from 2 landings last year. This year, 21,000. So not even half as many dorado as there was last year. Absolutely crazy. And I think everybody can attest to that too. Those dorado were running up north. They were freaking all over the place. And then we have bluefin tuna. So what would you say about bluefin tuna? 2022 or 2023? So bluefin tuna, 2022 had 22,886 bluefin. 2023, 42,655. So again, almost twice as many bluefin this year. So dorado, over twice as many dorado last year. This year, almost twice as many bluefin. And this is where it gets interesting because I think some of the numbers end up getting skewed. So I don't know if this is like indicative of the actual fish in the water, but I think no, Sammy, bluefin was 2023. Big time bluefin. And I think people fish bluefin longer. And I think a lot of the other fisheries go down and the numbers go down because people are fishing the bluefin so much. It seems like it's just a longer season. I remember they were here really early, and then we kind of had like that lull in like June and July, and then the season pushed back later. But they're still catching bluefin, even though there's not many boats running. The ones that are still doing like the 2-3 day trips, they're still putting up bluefin numbers, which is kind of crazy. I guess I didn't get them. Yeah, I got them. Actually, I got a lot of bluefin this year. It was pretty crazy. Calicos, 2022, 22,960. 2023, 12,087. So a lot more in 2022. Whitefish, 11,505 in 2022. 6,962 in 2023. Bonito, 2022, 6,130. Only 2,444 this year. So don't look like the Bonito really came in all that hot. And so here's one. Now, this one I still don't really believe. And this is where if you would have asked me, yeah, so you're the yellowtail. So this is the one. Oh, I didn't have any white sea bass numbers. I should have looked at that. So the yellowtail. Now, this is the number. So I think this is where we get like that selective thinking, right? If you would have asked me in this year, I would have said we caught more yellowtail this year than we did last year. Because it seemed like there was so many yellowtail in the reports because they weren't really getting on the Dorado, but it seemed like there was patty yellows like freaking all over the place. And I was totally like, oh yeah, I talked about it earlier this year, like how good the yellowtail bite's been and stuff like that. But this is where the numbers are deceiving. In 2022, there was 60,000 yellowtail caught. 60,207 yellowtail. In this year, 2023, it was only reported 10,997. Like that's crazy. That's like a third. That's like a sixth of what was caught in 2022, and that really doesn't make sense to me. But these were the numbers that were reported from at least from the two landings that were the same. But yellowtail, I definitely would have said this year, but that was way off. 2022 was apparently pretty good. And then we had rockfish. And this one's interesting. Rockfish in 2022 was 42,726. This year, 76,259. So definitely a lot more this year, almost double. And the same thing, they had the vermilion separated. 2022 was 3,845 to 5,981. So yeah, even double the vermilion. Crazy. And then yellowfin, this makes sense. 22,000 last year and about 14,000 this year. So definitely lower on the yellowfin as well. Now the rockfish were definitely rockfish was definitely a byproduct of the fishing law changes that happened in California. They opened up. We used to only be able to fish 600 feet deep. And even prior to that, I think 2 years prior to that, you couldn't even fish that. It was like 300 feet or something. You had to go very shallow, and you were limited to like where you can fish the rockfish. Then they opened it up to 600 feet, but the line that you had to follow that you could fish in was still narrow. This year was the first year that they opened the floodgates. They said fish wherever you want. If it's not an MPA or like a Cowcott protected zone, but you can fish any depth, anywhere. And looks like boats really took advantage of that because almost double as many rockfish were caught too. Because people are now fishing 600-700 feet deep. They're going to banks, the South Nine, going to places where they could never fish before. So I think that's where the rockfish thing happened too. But yeah, I think these numbers are hard to go by because I think the bluefin numbers were so much better this year that I think a lot of people they didn't fish because so a lot of the other numbers were lower, and I think they weren't fishing the other fish in order to look for the bluefin. Because I went on a lot of trips this year that were just like bluefin and bust only trips, and they didn't even bother fishing anything else. So it's like I think it saved the other fishery just fishing for bluefin, which is crazy. Oos Fishing Reps, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Real time, yeah. I should have looked at the white sea bass. I didn't even look at really think about looking at that. You know what's interesting? All my time in California and all the fishing I did, I never caught a keeper white sea bass. Never really went for a white sea bass trip. I think one time I went to San Nicolas Island and they ended up going for like rockfish or something like that. We might have looked for them real quick, but never got on them, man. Yeah, I'm live, Kevin. It is, dude. It's like 10:40. That's what I was telling people. I was like, man, I'm going to do a live tonight. It's going to be great. And then it was getting closer and closer. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm tired. It is good, man. Lives are so much fun. It's getting to talk to you guys. You know, the podcasts are great too, but you know, have that same personal interaction, you know, about what's going on. I was like, but I'm going to power through it. We're going over fishing numbers. Yeah. So you can see my mad scientist paperwork. So in the end, in 2023, there was 13 species, 7 species to 6. So in 2022, there was seven of the species were caught more in 2022 as opposed to 6 of the species in 2023. Now the total numbers in 2022 from, keep in mind this was the 2 landings, and then I pulled a few numbers from some of the LA landings. 2022 had 261,398, and in 2023 it was 200,013,032. So according to this paperwork, based on the landings, there was about 50,000 more fish caught in 2022 than there was in 2023. So I just thought that was interesting. I mean, 2023 I thought was an epic year, but 2022 was pretty good. I remember we were talking about it too, and me and Kevin were constantly talking about what it was like in 2022 and how good the fishery was, and to go out and fish, and it was pretty good. Even though the bluefin were better this year, it seemed like everything else, Dorado, yellowtail, yellowfin, aside from bluefin, pretty much everything else was a little better in 2022. 50,000 more fish better. So take that for what you will. I just thought it was interesting, you know, looking at the data and doing a recap of, you know, what we catch throughout the years. It's interesting to see, because like the yellowtail, for sure, I would have thought we caught a lot more this year, but it was not the case. The numbers don't lie. I forgot about the time difference. Yeah, dude, it's 10:43 out here. Crazy. I forget about the time difference too. It's like 5 p.m. Pacific time. No, it's not. It's like 7. DJB Oos, thanks for being live with your friends on the West Coast. Yeah, man, love you guys. You guys are the best. My numbers are the same every year. Limits. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Do you always hit limits? I don't know about that. You hit limits of spotties? You keep your spotties? Is there a bag limit for spotties? Was it 5? Are the bass? Since nobody keeps bass, I think it's 5, right? You can keep like any combination of 5 bass, or 4. I don't remember. I fished with you, Aaron, when we did not catch limits. Don't be fluffing those numbers, dude. You're giving yourself a fluffer over there. I've seen it. We both did not hit limits a couple times. You guys are funny. Yeah, so we'll do a report next year. Yeah, PCS is coming, and looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys out there. Just drop down the deposit, so it should be good. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Do you agree? Do you think, perception-wise, do you think 2022 was better, or was 2023 better? Obviously, personal fishing is totally different. You know, this is just sport boat numbers. Doesn't really tell the whole story. But I think bluefin took a lot of pressure off a lot of the other fisheries, ironically. I think that's why calico numbers were lower and stuff like that, because nobody was fishing calico. Everybody was going offshore trying to catch tuna. It's pretty crazy. Guess we'll see how it stacks up. You gonna come with a new design jig, like a limited edition? Yeah, we've got a. I don't know if we'll have it by March. Um, we are definitely gonna have another limited edition jig. Probably thinking in the summer. We're kicking around some ideas what we want to do and stuff like that. But what is it? December? Yeah, getting them made and painted and everything like that. I don't know. March is kind of a tight time unless we did like a small run, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely do some limited editions again, but probably closer to the summer. You never know. Let's say I can come up with something for PCS. Maybe I can have. You know what I could do is probably have some like instead of having them done at the factory, maybe like take some out of inventory and have them painted or something like that. Like have a SoCal Fishing Squad. He's the one that paints those war baits. He's been on the show. Nick, maybe he can come out and fish some of those. I'm hitting Murray after the show. Heck yeah. And that Toyota. Joey Basson says, I think 2023 was better for me, at least. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Sport boats are just one metric for sure. Do you guys ever keep logs, like fishing logs? It's something I've never done that, like, would probably be a pretty good idea to do, but I've never been disciplined to do it, and gone back and seeing, like, how many I've actually caught, instead of thinking, because sometimes it's all deceptive, right? What we think we caught and stuff like that. I know some guys have like the clickers and stuff like that, and they write things down. Like I know Captain Adobo, Bruce, that dude. Like I've seen some of that guy's notes. Like that guy keeps like legit spreadsheets of like all the fish he catches, and that dude's a slayer too. He's in like the playoffs every single spotty bowl. So that guy knows. Yeah, TV Metal Art says too much work. I think it is too. Like it literally becomes work. But I'm wondering if like that's really the only way to tell like how it was, otherwise it's just all kind of perception, stuff like that. Yeah, Real Time says photo logs. Definitely. You know what does that is the Salt Strong. So they're like a big thing out here. They're kind of like the BD Outdoors of like the East Coast of like the Gulf and Florida and the Carolinas and stuff like that. But it's like a paid thing. I pay to be like their insider members. And one of their things is cool is like if you take pictures like from your phone, right, and you upload a fish report on their website, it'll show you, and you don't have to share it with the community. You can like share your pictures with the community, but you don't have to share the data. But whenever you share a picture, it will on the back end it uploads. It takes the timestamp and it like puts it where the tide was, and like the location it's pretty cool. So you can like, and you don't have to. You can share it with the community if you want. But like I uploaded 4 pictures to share with them, and it showed me like exactly what time they were caught, where they were on the tide chart, so you can see if it was like outgoing or incoming. And it was actually just pretty helpful stuff. I was like, damn, this is. So you can go back on it and see. Oh, when was it that I caught those speckled trout, and where were we on the tide. The Judge, Oos, what's going on? Glad you could join us. Waiting for my Spotty Bowl check, dude. I've been pimping Spotty Bowl all show, trying to get you some signups. Those of you guys that don't know, that's Eric the Judge Lehman. He does all the judging for Spotty Bowl, the hardest working man in fishing. He puts on the WTF League as well, which I think he's got an event coming up. If I remember correctly, I think I've seen that on Instagram. But that's a cool thing too. If you guys want to win a belt, it's a little shorter. It's kind of a one-off league, and you can go in there to win some money, and good stuff. And it's not just spotties. That one is everything. I think this one that he's doing it's a bass tournament, right? But calicos and sand bass were double length or something like that. So it's good stuff. Check it out. Real Time Salt Strong, good group. Yeah, they're pretty cool people. So I went over there and met. I went to one of their meetups, the Jacksonville meetup, and I actually met Joe Simons, who was like the CEO or like one of the founders of Salt Strong. He was there doing meeting up with the Jacksonville group, but I got to talk to him and hang out with him and talk fishing after the meeting and stuff like that. We talked for like 20 minutes. He was a cool dude. That's good stuff. Making some good connections with those guys. They love fishing and it's a different fishery. Judge says correct. When is it? What day? Joey Basson says, because I figured the last couple years I fished to catch numbers, but this year I paid attention to detail, more tide swings, water temps, colors, waters, what to throw and what not to throw. Interesting. And you think that's improved your game, Joey? Looking at all those things? Sometimes I do pay attention to tides, but honestly, like I don't know if it matters so much. Like I was saying, like that Salt Strong app and stuff like that. When I go back and I like some the fish that I do count, and when I look at my tides, a lot of times they're just like all over the place. Sometimes there's slack tides. Like some of the best days I've had at the bait barge fishing sand bass have straight up been on a slack tide right in the middle of the tide. It's like that's where it's gone just absolutely bananas. And I've caught them on incoming, outgoing. Like it's so hard to say, man. I wish we knew. If we had to see the magic formula, we'd be millionaires, dude. We could sell that information and catch fish like crazy. I think everybody's got a preferred method. Like the guy Jeff from Battlefish, who I fish with, he loves outgoing tide. So that's his jam. Like he'll tell you, he loves outgoing tide. Who knows? When we went fishing, I think it was mostly we went out Tuesday. I think he caught his big one on the incoming, or it was like right on high tide. Most of our fish were caught on the incoming tide. So it's like, who knows, man? So hard to say. Mainly trying to catch bigger. Oh yeah, I already read that one. Fishing Rep said tide matters in 100% in Florida. Yeah, in Florida it does for sure, because for those of you guys that don't know what Kevin's talking about, like I alluded to how it's so shallow here. Like California doesn't matter too much. It goes up and down on the docks, but it really doesn't change the geography of the land. In Florida, if you're fishing redfish in 2 feet of water, 4 feet of water, but when it's low tide, the tide is low. There's no grass or anything like that. The fish are in those troughs. It eliminates a lot of the places where they can hide. And I think that's why people like the outgoing tide is when the water recedes, say redfish, they live in the grass, they hide in the grass. But when the water recedes from the grass, it's like, they've got to be in that lower pool. Once the flood tide comes in and the high tide, we're talking 2 feet of water, it goes up to 4 feet of water. But it changes the whole landscape of the actual earth. Now the water is up in the grass 3 feet, and the fish are swimming through the grass. And now they're in a completely different zone than they were before. It's just like totally different. Tides in Florida than California. Different fish. The fish don't really live like in the same areas in California. They get in the rocks and the riprap and stuff like that if you're surf fishing. But the water really never recedes down past the break wall. You know what I mean? Like it's not like the break wall disappears and then it reappears. Like in Florida, it's like it goes down, it disappears, then it comes back in the grass, and it's like two totally different fisheries. It's just totally crazy. You guys fishing next weekend, Judge? So you love the incoming tide on the St. John's. Interesting. Yeah, man. And that's like Jeff was saying. He loves the outgoing tide. So weird. Which was interesting because I was fishing the dock right next to me. And I caught a pretty big handful of fish. And it was, I think it was on the outgoing tide. It was high tide, yeah. And then it switched to outgoing. But who knows? I wasn't fishing the grass. So it doesn't really matter. DJB says, personally, 2023 was great. But smaller bluefin tuna. BD Outdoors did a good podcast with NOAA Fisheries. Owen Snodgrass discussing local bluefin fishery. Worth checking out. Yeah, I watched about half of it. That was definitely a good show for sure. Yeah, that's good stuff. I'll have to check that out. WTF League is next weekend. So, yeah, check that out, guys. Joey says, yeah, it's definitely improved your bass fishing for me. Makes a huge difference. Also, in that I've started writing down everything when I've caught my bigger fish. So, you're doing the journal. You're putting in the work, dude. That's what we were talking about, man. There's so much work to do, but I think it does work. It does help. I know there's some apps that do that too, but still you gotta be dedicated enough to upload into the apps and all that stuff. The bottom of the lowest tide in the back of the creeks is money. I'll have to check it out. That's good. Yeah, it's interesting to see that journal. I know a lot of guys, like I said, do the fish counter and stuff like that, but I don't know. I always talk about doing it, but probably too much work. Let low fish, oos, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Glad you can join us right here at the very end. Oh yeah, I had did have some Instagram questions we can get to before we roll it up. Yeah, we were talking about how the 2022 stacked up to 2023. Dawson Jennings, this was an Instagram question. He wanted to know what my favorite jig was. Dawson Jennings, I would say, well, that's a loaded question because it all depends what I'm fishing for. If I'm fishing the bays, I'm more of an assassin guy. I know most of the people here like the Sumo. I think the Sumo crushes, but I usually will, my default will probably go to the assassin. I'd say assassin 20 gram Golden Death is probably like my starting point, and I go from there. Even the fish we were getting this week, the speckled trout and stuff like that, in like 2 feet of water, we were crushing a lot of them on the assassin jig. The light one, we went down to the 10 gram because we were so shallow, but that's probably my favorite one if we're talking like bay fishing for spotties. But I don't know. Sumo's hard to argue too. I see these guys crushing it with these Sumos all the time. Absolutely smashing. Judge said Mad Max Christmas party this weekend. If you didn't mention it, all are welcome. No, I didn't mention it. So if you guys want to go to the Mad Max Christmas party, check that out. I wish I could make it. I'm going to miss it this year. I've made it to all of them except this one. That sucks, man. It's a good time. They have like, I don't know what they're doing this year, but usually they've had pizza in the past. Then they do like the, what do they call that? The white elephant thing. It was a lot of fun. People stealing gifts and stuff. Yeah, it's a good time for sure. My wife went with me last year, Jessica, and she actually won she got a hold of a Daiwa reel. I think it was the Fuego. So definitely a good prize. Kevin, I think it's some toiletries for you this year. Yeah, who got that? Who got the potting soil that one year? I think that was Kevin, wasn't it? Judge, 80 gram ogre is your favorite. Yeah. Yeah, 80 gram is like, 80 grams fire too. If you're in like that, if you're looking for tuna, fishing patties and stuff like that, yeah, that 80's hard to beat. Aaron Kruger says, I fished almost every day and I haven't learned a damn thing about when the best tide to fish in the bay. I agree with you, dude. It's sometimes I catch a lot of fish and I'm like, oh yeah, I swear it's outgoing tide. And then I go fishing outgoing tide again and I don't catch anything, and then it's incoming tide. I think it's just presenting the bait on the right side of the tide. Meaning if it's incoming, pitching it and letting it fall the right way. If it's outgoing, send it the other way and let it drift down. Who knows, man? Yeah, I get all the bathroom products. And you got the potting soil too, right? Last year. Who brought that anyways? It was like some clay pot with potting soil or something. So terrible. So terrible. Yeah, all are welcome to the Mad Max Christmas party. Yeah. Hope, guys, that's all I got for you. It was cool hanging out, saying what's up again for another live show. Let me know if you like the lives. Maybe I can figure something out to bring them back, or if you like the podcast as well. I like doing the normal podcast. We got other people coming on the show, and it's a good time to get different people, different perspectives, stuff like that. And yeah, I appreciate all the support, guys. Purchasing the jigs, getting them from the tackle stores, buying them from the site. I really appreciate it, man. I see a lot of you guys making orders and stuff, and it means a lot to me. It really helps keep the lights on. I love the posted pictures too. However you get the jigs, man, if you guys are doing the posts and putting them on there, I mean, that stuff really helps us out, gets the word out, lets people see that these things work, and it's I really do appreciate that. I appreciate you guys, and if I don't do another live for a while, I just wanted to come on, say what's up at the end of the year, let you know I'm still alive, still in Florida, getting it done, and I'll be back in California for PCS, and we'll definitely do the submission at sea this year too, and we'll fly back out and we'll do that. I'll charter a boat and we'll find a good time when the tuna are popping off, and yeah, we'll do another trip and we'll get it done. So I'll still be out there fishing for sure, and should be good. And sponsoring Spotty Bowl this year again. So if you haven't signed up, fish the submission jigs. We're gonna have a side pot as well. I think this year we're gonna do probably a thing per event instead of like a big prize at the end of the year. Might do like a gift card or something to every event that happens, instead of something just like end of the year. So give you guys a little something else to fish for. Awesome. Real time. Thanks for the California love. Yeah, man. Hey, I lived there 41 years, so I definitely have a special place in my heart for California. Never forget. Leonard, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. And no, Judge, thank you. Thank you for all the work you do. Vote for Mac of the Year, too, if you guys are on the Mad Max Discord. Definitely go check that out. Well, all right, guys. Hopefully you learned something today. And check those numbers. Make a log. And get your black belts in fishing, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining. Oos.